Okay, here we go. Episode 2 of PPC Unfiltered with Cory Lindholm and Michael Nadalin. So I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 on scaling. We ranted and raved about the issues that we tend to see with scaling. And we wanted to do a follow-up episode, and we'll be doing many episodes here, obviously. But this one is going to be about why most businesses fail at Google Ads. So we didn't want to get too caught in the weeds at the start of this podcast journey of going into technical things, but we wanted to do more high-level conceptual ideas to be pointing out red flags. So then if you as a specialist, a consultant, a business owner, you can identify these red flags yourself. Doesn't mean you will have the solution, but it just means you'll know when there's a problem that needs to be actioned on or when it doesn't. So, Cory, let's go into why most businesses fail at Google Ads. Was there anything you wanted to start off with, mate, or let's go in?
Well, I think what would be fun too is because obviously most of the businesses I work with are the e-commerce space. There's some exceptions. I know most of the businesses you guys take on are lead generation, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
cool. So maybe we could, obviously we work with both, so we'll probably mess this up and I'll talk about lead gen, you'll talk about e-com, it's fine. But I'll come at it more from an e-com side. I would say, just to really get it going here, the most common things I can think of right off the cuff, conversion tracking, right? That's like 101. And I know everyone's going to go, oh, here we go, the same old thing. No, really, guys, it's like so crucial. And honestly, even agencies in the best of the world, they mess this up because they assume the tracking is good. They just say like, yeah, I don't want to look through all those tags in Google Tag Manager. Like we have our developers, their development department, their queue is so long already. I don't want to give them another thing to do. I think it looks okay. Man, that can be really problematic. I've seen it before where not all the products are tagged. All of a sudden you think you're doing dynamic remarketing and you're not. You're doing like 80% of your catalog and maybe 20% of your bestsellers are not actually being remarketed. That is a tragedy. It is a huge loss. Talk about a way to get an easy win in terms of profitability and potentially some volume there, especially during key periods like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So obviously conversion tracking. Would you agree, Michael? That is like the very first thing you
definitely.
look into.
And we both do so much content online, and a lot of my content always starts off with that. And the reason why, it's not because I run out of content to talk about, it's because I keep seeing that on nearly every single account I work with or audit. It is crazy. And it's not even to the point where people are just like not tracking. That's different. It could be that they're tracking page views as a conversion or still using universal analytics as a conversion. They're not using the Google tag as the tag. They're not using data-driven approach. Like conversion tracking is the most important thing. If you don't get that right, nothing will follow, will ever work. So ultimately, as you're saying, that's why most businesses do fail at the start, because they're not actually accurately tracking what's working and what's not. And I think like I could speak about that, and I'll probably say that in every single video we ever do together, because it still is an issue that I always see.
Yep. And two things, those are really good examples. Two things I'll add that are crucial, guys, is micro conversions. That's just a fancy way of saying other things you want to track on your site that isn't your ultimate goal, not a purchase, not a lead, email signups, going to certain pages that are usually more commercial intent driven, whatever it is. Every business is going to have different micro conversions. Maybe just have one or two. Okay, that's fine. Track it. It gives us more data to analyze. So we are not just leaning on how many leads did we get? How many sales did we get? That doesn't tell the whole story. You really want to get those micro conversions set up in your account. Make sure they're usually going to be set as a secondary conversion action. It's a little more technical for you guys, but usually it's going to be set up that way unless you have campaigns that are directly going after that goal, let's just say. But anyway, I would say micro conversions as well as enhanced conversions. I'm sure you've seen this as well. People really just deprioritize that. They're like, yeah, it's a fancy new feature. I don't think they really understand what it is. I like to put it as enhanced conversions is an additional way to attribute conversions back to Google. Now, what that really means is, I get it. Google is going to like already take a bunch of credit for conversions that it maybe shouldn't be getting anyway in some cases. Why just give it more? Because your algorithm needs to be smarter in order for you to compete, right? So the smarter you can make this algorithm baby, the better it's going to grow up to be to get you more sales. So let's try to feed the baby with as much data as possible. Yeah, it might over attribute, but wouldn't you rather rather it have more signal data to make predictions around conversion rates than less? I definitely would. So don't deprioritize enhanced conversions. Don't deprioritize micro conversions. Yeah, you might not be the one analyzing the data, but for those data analysts, they really want that data because it's really, really valuable. So those are just a couple other things I'd add there.
That's awesome, mate. Those are really powerful forward indicators for businesses as well. So many businesses are either not tracking properly, or they're tracking incorrectly, or they're just going for one outcome-based goal. Now, I prefer that if it's just lead gen. It's just like, did we get a lead or not? Like, it's different for e-commerce, going to a website. There is a long buyer journey. But if you're doing lead gen like we do, you're sending traffic to a landing page, you just want to track it. Now, we've got enterprise clients that have huge websites, and let's just say they're insurance or home loans, where you want to track when someone has submitted for a quote, but not everyone goes through the whole process. So we also track when people start that process as well. It's not technically an outcome-based conversion, but it's a data point for us to track, okay, how many people came to the website, how many people started, and then how many people finished. We can look at the drop-off rate here. We can look to from land to start, and then start to finish rates as well. So it's really understanding that, but this is more on an enterprise level, bigger accounts. If you're a small business, just make sure your outcome-based goals are set up. Is it, did you get a sale? Yes or no? Did you get a lead? Yes or no? Turn everything off. Are you tracking your calls? That's it. Now, it just depends on what level you're at, but conversion tracking is definitely number one where most businesses fail at. And there's no way you'll ever succeed by that being done incorrectly. It's not just like YOLO, like, oh, we kind of have it off and then it still works. It doesn't. And especially in this time where there's the algorithms and the AI or whatever it is behind it is so focused on signals rather than our keywords and products. There's probably hundreds of millions of data points that Google are using. And the main one it's trying to operate towards is like, how do we get to this point here? And it's doing millions of things trying to get here. But if this is off and it's like over here, you're going to be sending the intelligence of Google in the total wrong direction. Conversion tracking is pretty much saying, this is the bullseye I want, get me there. If that's done wrong, nothing's ever going to work. And you'll be left behind more and more now because there are going to be other businesses who are smaller than you, that spend less than you, that just do this properly and they get ahead. And that's like a lot of our clients. We take on like clients who are spending maybe 10, 50K, who are going against companies spending millions a month. And we just take market share because we do things properly, effectively, and efficiently as well. So that's number one, the conversion rate. What would you say is number two, why you see most businesses fail?
Number two, to me, it's okay. I'm gonna hint at it, and you tell me if it's the same for you. I'm gonna say it starts with the letter N as in Nancy. Do you agree? What do you think it is? It's a trivia quiz.
I actually don't know because we don't have a list here. So
negative keywords, my man. Negative keywords.
I was thinking that.
Okay, and also exclusions, display audience people. Okay, sure, exclusions. But who's got the time for that? No, I'm kidding. No, really, negative keywords. Guys, it is so crucial. I don't care if you're lead gen, e-com, big account, small account, brand new account, especially brand new accounts. Negative keywords is so vital. And you know what? Most people don't want to do it because, man, it's soul draining. You're going through, even if you do an n-gram analysis, if you're curious, guys, go ahead and look up a script by BrainLab. They have an n-grams analysis script. I digress. You want to definitely be looking at your search term reports. This is super valuable data. It's not only great for finding things that you don't want to be paying for clicks for, which can be pretty expensive nowadays on Google across the board, whether it's shopping, search, whatever, but also for opportunities for your SEO efforts. People forget about that. Content ideas, site navigation, whatever it is. There's a lot of research opportunities within your search terms. So don't sleep on that. But yeah, I would definitely say, man, it's going to be search terms. Adding negative keywords is so vital. It's often just sort of slept on, or it's one of those things that as an agency, you're like, I got to do search terms for 2 hours, and it's like, oh yeah, I know what you mean, but it's so incredibly vital. I don't know how many times I've looked at an account. It's like before and after, like you've done is just a giant overhaul of negatives, the dramatic effects it can have.
Mate, thank you for saying that as number two. I would have said something else for number two, but I'm going to put that as point three, by the way. But let's negative keywords. This is after. I'm glad you said conversion tracking the negative keywords, because if you do this right, everything will work. Like Google Ads starts with people searching for something, clicking on ad, and coming through. If you've got an irrelevant search, it's never going to work. You could have the most relevant search going to the shittiest website and it will convert. You can have the most irrelevant web search going to the best website, best landing page, and it won't. This is where you capture the user psychology and you can see through the searches or the search terms what is relevant and what is not. In our process internally, we've got this this tool that I've built called the gap analysis tool, which is step one is you select the client. Step two is literally define what the problem is, write it down, like, oh, leads are down, conversion rates drop, whatever. Step three is checking the conversion tracking on, like, have you tested it? Have you checked it? Check it right now, which is what you just spoke about. Step four goes into Google Ads. And the first thing in Google Ads is the traffic relevant? If the traffic is not relevant, nothing is going to work. The only way you do relevant traffic, it's not selecting the best keywords and getting every single keyword in the universe. It's about effective negative keyword list.
Yes.
And look, this is maybe just me being a nerd. It's like, I love doing the negative keyword list. I get a high off it because I'm like, oh, we just add this one to the campaign level negative keyword list or the account level. And that means we're not wasting money on that ever again. So every dollar that's not spent on this is allocated towards a high intent buying intent keyword. So it's not even like it's such a chore. It's that you're reallocating money from in the now and in the future from shitty traffic to high quality, powerful traffic. That if you just do this right from, look, you can have standard negative keyword lists, which we use. But in the first few weeks, I'm in accounts like twice a day, just like looking at the search terms, adding them to the account negative keyword list. And more importantly, looking at the terms with 0 clicks and 1 impression or 0 clicks and 0 impressions. There's more gold in there to add to your negative keyword list because that means you'll never show for these terms that you haven't even had to pay for anyway. So mate, I couldn't agree with you more. That's my rant on that. Like negative keyword list. Most businesses do it incorrectly. You know what the crazy thing is? The bigger the business, the more enterprise they are, or even the more competitive, being like insurance or home loans, they're the ones that actually have like the least negative keyword list and the more rubbish traffic. If you're doing a local business like an electrician or a plumber, you're not going to get that much irrelevant traffic. But when you work in like the finance or insurance space, the keywords you have will just get the most random stuff that like you need to be more intense in certain industries. So for certain industries, you need to be more intense with your negative keyword list, not because of competition, not because of your budget, purely just based on Google will be more flexible with how it shows because they know they can make $50 a click.
100%. Yeah. And it's super important. Obviously, again, guys, exclusions fall into the same bucket, with display and stuff. Like you should be looking at the websites that your traffic's going to send. It's a little bit trickier to understand the intent there versus search terms, but obviously also falls into this bucket. So I'm really excited. What's number 3? What is your number 3?
Okay. Look, I mentioned this to you before, and number 1 and 2 are more in the accounts. This is outside of the account. And I'll really say this, and I'll die on this hill saying this because there are so many times I've picked up accounts that I thought looked good, and then I did some work on it, and it completely transformed business in the most positive way. It really is why most businesses fail. It purely comes down to who's managing it. Like there are so many factors. Like everything you do that could be on the perfect list needs to be filtered through a human implementing it, and a lot of this stuff still is based on human decision-making or lack of decision-making and action or inaction. So people are making either a decision to do something or not something in the account, or they're acting or not acting on a certain thing. I've seen so many times when you've got an account that you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make this work. And then you take it on and you just do you and it works. And it's not a mental thing. I think it's in the nervous system that you've done this for so long that you just pick up accounts. So many businesses fail because either the business owner's running it, the marketing managers were stuck with an agency for too long, that they just get stuck in their ways rather than having someone who's competent to actually implement a proper strategy.
Wait, Michael, you're saying that a human has to do this. I can't just use ChatGPT for everything, or I can't just, what about my Google rep, right? They email me every day. Can they just do it for me?
Okay, look, I'm behind in the time. So maybe I'm like some like old school NPC where I'm not using ChatGPT and reps and all the automation, all the buttons. But look, realistically, man, all success in Google Ads comes from human decision making. And it's not decision to use the rep or not. It's purely just like, what are you doing? What keywords are you doing? How are you setting up the feed? How are you setting up the landing page? How are you making optimizations, decision making, consulting with the client, like actually getting clear on goals. A lot of these things are so beyond, like you do the work in the account, but more of the work's done outside of the account mentally and through processing and strategy, that a lot of times with a lot of businesses, the business owner is running the account and they're not a Google Ads expert, or a specialist is running the account and they're not an expert in the business. And I was saying this to a mate of mine who runs a very, very, very successful company doing millions. And he was like, oh, you know, I'm running the Facebook ads, but I don't know if I should get an agency to do it. I'm like, look, man, most people go, what's their skill out of 0 to 10? I'm like, the score's actually out of 20. It's like, out of 10, how well do they know your business? And out of 10, how good are their skill? My mate knows his business 10 out of 10. He probably knows this was for Facebook ads. He probably knows Facebook's 6 out of 10, probably 7 out of 10 based on what he's done. So he's 17 out of 20. This specialist he hired from an agency, let's just say they're in the top, I don't know, percentile, and they're in the 8 out of 10, which is extremely high.
Yeah.
And then they only know the business 5 out of 10. Like, they're only going to be like 13 versus 17, if that my math is correct just then. And this is the big thing, is most businesses fail because most people running accounts don't actually understand business or business strategy or how it influences the business. And that flows into the account, because if you don't understand the business problems, the business objectives, goals, and problems, how the hell are you supposed to reflect that in the account? So that's where I really feel like, and most of the time, agencies hire juniors who don't have business experience, who don't have Google Ads experience, and that's why businesses fail. They outsource to the wrong people as well.
I agree. I can't agree more. I must have said it 100 times already, probably more. When people ask me about it, you know, they're like, hey, you know, because I tell them what I do, and they're like, oh yeah, we thought about, you know, hiring a AdWords person or whatever, you know, that when you hear that word, you know, AdWords person, Google Ads person, we're thinking about hiring this guy on Upwork, you know, he's overseas and he's $10 an hour, you know, and I always tell them, I say this 100 times, I swear, you get what you pay for with Google Ads. You really, really, really do. You don't want to go to the cheap dentist to get your wisdom teeth out. You don't want to do that, guys. Google Ads is usually a vital, crucial part of your business strategy and your marketing strategy. Don't go cheap. You really, really get what you pay for with Google Ads. There's just, I'm sure you've seen it 100 times. You take over an account, you're looking at an account that's being done by an agency, and it's awful. They're clearly just presenting change history as a way to say we are good. Because look at how many changes are in the change history, as it does not mean that they're providing success for your company. And I'll be honest, a lot of businesses haven't been able to help hold them accountable because they don't have their goals clearly defined. They just went in it with, let's just find a Google Ads expert because we hear that it's a good way to get, you know, more sales or more leads or whatever, but they don't know what metrics to be tracking. So when those terrible agencies or specialists come and say, hey, look, your click-through rate last month went up 20%. Aren't we doing a great job? You need to, as a business owner or a marketing manager or whatever, you need to be able to make sure that they know that is not acceptable. We're not looking for higher click-through rates, maybe in some specific cases. You need to be tracking the right metrics, and that's really, really important. So anyway, you get what you pay for. Don't go cheap with any kind of marketing, in my opinion. I mean, I don't care what it is, SEO, Facebook, organic, whatever. You gotta pay for what. Now I know not everybody has unlimited budget. That's fair, but try to find something in the middle where they have years of experience. They can really talk about it. If you're blown away by the technical lingo they use or by their ability to simplify something that seems really complex to you, it's probably a good sign. There's other ways of interviewing people. There's a million of those Q&As online if you do a quick Google search. But yeah, guys, don't go cheap when it comes to Google Ads.
You get what you pay for. Advertising, especially paid ads, is unforgiving. You're going against killers like us who are like going to take their market share. And most businesses, if you go cheap, you're going to get people who don't do the negative keyword list properly, don't select the right, don't give recommendations on landing page or website optimization, don't understand your business. Like, there's more than this than just Google Ads. It's a whole, it's really understanding like business. And most people don't understand business because they haven't been in the game like as long as us, where you realize, like, most of my clients, when we chat to them, we don't talk about the Google Ads account. We're talking about everything else because everything else is chaotic. The Google Ads is the only part of their business that's like stable. Everything else is the operations are cooked, like the sales processes, like the fulfillment, the staff issues. And look, this is one of those areas that you will spend a lot of money in, and you can spend it really poorly or you can spend it really well. And by hiring cheap, as you're saying, you're going to, you'll naturally always spend it poorly. The opportunity cost, not even, and there's also the opportunity cost. That a dollar could be allocated to a better click, a better conversion. And there is so many ways that you can do this efficiently. And ultimately, it's not a cost, it's an investment. Google Ads is the highest return on investment thing I've ever heard of. That you put a dollar in, and on average, you probably get on, and in a lead generation or service-based business, you should be getting 10x return. In e-commerce, you should be getting maybe a 3 to 5x return as a baseline. So like, I don't know any other investment that I put a dollar in and I get that within a month, a 3x return. Like if I bought some shares for $10 and they got up to like $30 that month, I'd be like Warren Buffett. But the advertising, you can do that. You can't do that with a cheap person. You can do it just with the proper person. So come from the approach that this is an investment, not a cost.
I agree. I think of it as like you're hiring, think of us as almost like a portfolio manager. Would you hire a cheap, super cheap portfolio manager and then give them 20,000 of your dollars that you worked hard for? No, you wouldn't do that because you wouldn't trust their judgment. Well, guess what? It works the same way. We're just investing it back into the Google advertising ecosystem. Choose the right person for the job, not the cheapest person for the job.
Nice, mate. Well, mate, I know that we've got to cut off soon, so should we just wrap this up? I'm sure there's so many things we keep talking about here. There's a huge list that I even have here, but let's just finish this off, and then we can do many more chats in the future.
Sounds good. Okay,
awesome, mate.
Perfect.
So I'll wrap this one up because you wrapped up the last one. So yeah, if you like this podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it. If you need to contact Cory Lindholm about e-commerce strategies or consulting or management for your Google Ads account and even other things, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn or corylindholm.com. Is that correct now?
LinkedIn or my YouTube channel is going to be the best place to find me.
Nice. And me, you can find me on Michael Nadalin on LinkedIn, marketlead.com.au for services, and also the Market Lead YouTube channel for all things about paid ads, Google Ads, and landing pages. So, Cory, mate, wonderful chatting again, and let's do this soon.
Of course, brother. All right, take care. We'll talk soon.
See you, mate.